This will be a short video discussing one of the most mysterious aspects of Arc 5, and is a plot point I feel like many people have forgotten about, as well as a shocking twist. As we know, in Arc 5 when Subaru encounters Capella, the Sin Archbishop of Lust, alongside Karsten, they lose the encounter and both are sprayed with Capella's blood. We find out that Capella's blood has been mixed with dragon blood, and as a result, those who come into contact with it have the potential to be cursed. We see that Krush is cursed by the blood, but Subaru, who has numerous curses inside of his body since the events of Arc 2, seems to survive unscathed, and in fact, the blood in turn also heals him, so it's actually beneficial for him. In addition to this, if you've seen my Ow is Subaru video, there is another character that comes into contact with the blood, and that is of course Aldebaran, and from his dialogue, there is no effect on him either, which does place him in the same category as Subaru to some extent. Also, for those wondering, you don't actually need an open wound to get infected, as we see the dragon blood transfer from Krush to Subaru when he touches her physically. However, there's actually something more concerning that I wanted to discuss, and that was the nature of the dragon blood, and namely what it is or who it belongs to. And this is speculation, but we can try and figure out exactly what's going on. The weirdest thing in Arc 5, of course, is when the dragon blood inside of Subaru seems to have a will of its own. Subaru gets the impression that the blood itself views Regulus as an enemy, even referring to Regulus as a false king, and afterwards Subaru even vocalizes his thanks to the blood afterwards. Again, this is an intricate detail that most people gloss over, and it isn't mentioned again. The blood wants to show Regulus the prestige of the Dragon Kingdom, which of course is referring to the Kingdom of Lagunica, which shows that the blood may be allied to Lagunica. However, to me, the most interesting aspect is that the will of the blood actually reminds me of some of the voices that Ram and Teresia hear. As stated before, the dragon blood seems to have a will of its own and wants to teach Regulus a lesson, and it seems to convey that feeling to Subaru, similar to how Ram used to hear voices that would will her to massacre people, and similarly to Teresia, who would hear the laugh of the sword god which would chastise her. If we move on from this idea, and we assume that Capella is in fact a member of royalty, so she is in fact Capella Emerada Lagunica, then she would of course have access to the dragon blood in the royal capital. We also know that from the end of Arc 6 that the blood from the royal capital isn't actually the blood of Volcanicus, it actually belongs to another dragon that was killed, and then that blood was collected from the heart of the dying dragon. If Capella was infused with this blood, and then she splashed this blood onto people like Krush and Subaru, then the will that Subaru feels inside him, urging him to teach Regulus a lesson, could in fact be this dragon that died a long time ago for the sake of Lagunica, which would explain why it wants to teach Regulus a lesson, as it views Regulus an enemy to the kingdom of Lagunica. Of course, we know that Subaru no longer has the black marks on his arm after the events of Arc 7. Either way, it's interesting to note how a weird piece of information is overlooked in Arc 5. There's also the potential that people like Ow or Krush might also exhibit the same effects as Subaru, such as feeling the will of the dragon. Which also makes me think of something. As we know, Capella has been infused with this dragon blood, and because Subaru can feel the will of the dragon, does that mean that Capella can also feel the will of the dragon? After all, she has more dragon blood inside her. Maybe that's the reason why she transforms into a dragon a lot of the times. Maybe the dragon form that she transforms into is actually the dragon that died, and that's the blood that went into Capella's body, and now Capella takes on that dragon's appearance. Of course, that could be pure crack theory. Do you think I'm reading too deep into the dragon blood talking to Subaru? Or do you think Tappei is trying to be metaphorical, or is he trying to foreshadow something? Do you think the dragon blood's voice or will is similar to the sword god? or Oni God, or is this pure crack theory? Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys next time.